I was at the school with one of my friends working on prom decorations, and then my mom all of a sudden frantically calls me and is like, "You gotta get to the house where everyone's supposed to evacuate. We need you to come here, pack a bag, we're leaving right away." So then me and my friends start freaking out, of course. We're like, whoa, this is actually happening, because you never think it's gonna actually happen.
"2019 is going to be something no one in North Bend's ever going to forget."
Oh, this was most definitely a crisis for North Bend. The biggest crisis that I've been a part of in my tenure.
It's going to be the year of the flood, and that's going to be seared into everybody's minds who survived it.
When I heard that water was gonna maybe come, all of my family, we went over to the co-op and started putting sandbags together, but we thought that was all just a precaution and nothing was gonna actually happen.
Most of us have lived here for a long time, and we've seen pictures of flood back in the 60s, back in the 20s, but there are a lot of people saying, it's not really gonna happen, is it?
The night before the flood, I could hear ice slamming against the Platte River Bridge, and it sounded like two railroad cars connecting with one another.
Friday, late morning, water started to seep over Highway 30 and then it gained access to the entire street network of North Bend, and that's when it hit me. Oh, this is really happening. North Bend is gonna flood.
And the water came all the way up through the trees, and then there was ice chunks up there. I mean, it looks like concrete blocks.
The water was moving directly at the school. And so with the addition of Tiger Arena 5 years ago, that area of ground was elevated significantly and created a barrier that pushed the water to the north and protected the school. You know, after the flood occurred, you thought about your basic human needs, your family and shelter and food and warmth. Then it was time to start thinking about how to help the town recover. So in the absence of a lot of outside intervention, because our state was being suffocated with flooding, I figured we needed to take hold of the situation ourselves, and the city and the functionality of the city moved into the school. And it was our honor and our privilege to do that for those people that have supported our school for generations.
Being in a small town, your school is your heart of the community, and at no other time did that appear more clearly than during the flood.
If the school wasn't available, I don't know what our town would have done, because it was basically the whole control center. That's where everything happened. That's where the supplies were that people needed. That's where they had the meetings to talk about how everyone was going to go about the situation. It's where people stayed for if they didn't have a home.
And then they used the old gym for all the storage, like, and all the donations, and then that was kind of like our warehouse almost.
They did a major paving of our parking lot, and I have no idea what we would have done with a flood if they hadn't done that, because that all would have been water versus this was dry ground. When I first came that first day, if you walked out here outside of this new gym and the new area, that is where the fire department was set up.
And they put pole vault mats up there for them to sleep on, or just to rest even.
We had dozens and dozens of porta potties.
Like portable showers and washers and dryers that were brought over to the school. And I know we did use the washers and dryers a lot because ours got ruined in the flood, so we needed to wash clothes, and so those came in handy too.
First thing that pops into my mind when I hear flood is the water that was in my basement. All the pictures and everything of anyone that was in our house was taken away. My whole room was destroyed, my brother's room. Washer, dryer, everything downstairs, one of our TVs. We were separated from our animals for a long time. That bothered us, just being away from the horses and cows.
We housed the volunteer center right inside the front door by the main entrance. And we had one half of that entrance where people could sit down and write out their needs. The other half is where I had my team matching requests with the volunteers that came in. They would come in the morning and you'd see this group of kids and they'd be laughing and pretty clean. And you'd give them the first address, send them on their first job.
It was like coming down and getting that real hands-on experience, like that real life. This has to be done by this time. Like it was like a real job, just you gotta really work fast, but yet work carefully to make sure everybody gets what they need and gets it done at the right time.
They'd come back about 3 hours later, 4 hours later, and they say, well, we're done there. Where do we need to go? Every time they came back, they were a little more dirty and a little more tired, and they came back. And they came back the next day, and they came back the day after. And it was incredible.
We kind of just didn't think we'd need help, but then we started tearing drywall. We're like, no, we're not going to be able to do this on our own. And cousins started coming, uncles, aunts, football coaches, random electricians. Everyone came through and they're like, all right, yeah, we're going to help you.
It was not even like, oh, I should do this. It's like, I want to do this for this person.
It made us feel pretty good. Maybe we didn't want it at first, but we knew we needed it, and that we weren't going to be able to do it on our own.
The school sent volunteers to us when we needed help, so that was a big deal too. Some of the boys on the football team came over because we basically had to tear everything out, the walls. So they came and helped with that. And then we'd have people bringing us food. I mean, that wasn't doesn't seem like a huge thing, but like it was a big deal. We had so many people helping us from other towns. It was crazy the amount of people that were sending supplies or came to just help.
People coming through, picking up trash out of other people's yards without asking, people running into other people's basements to clean it.
So I know that if it happened to someone else, I would be there right away because that was a huge deal to us and everyone in our town.
When we were away from school, I did learn a lot more about the town. I learned that when things get rough, the town will be there for you. I learned how to clean a basement from floodwater, things I wouldn't have learned in the classroom.
I would say the most incredible part of that whole experience was everybody working together. It didn't matter how old you were. It didn't matter where you lived. Everyone working together.
While we missed 10 days of academic learning, I believe our kids gained 10 years of lifelong learning. They were in people's basements that were complete strangers. They worked hard to, again, assist people at their time of need. They saw adults who were emotionally strained. They worked with teachers that they're normally in their classroom with. They were working arm in arm with them to help total strangers. In my eyes, that's good old Nebraska values, and that's why this place is the good life. And so, yes, they missed out on some algebra and some world history, but they sure learned a lot about life.